Okay, we I think have an update going on the LIC IDBI Bank deal. We should put it up on the flashes as well. So government sources are telling CNBC TV18 that LIC will likely need to make an open offer as part of the IDBI Bank deal. We are now joined by Sapna Das on the phone line for more on this. This is an important development. Sapna, over to you.
Yeah, so there are clear indications that, as per the SEBI guidelines, probably there'll be a requirement of an open offer, which is what the acquiring company will do. But we are also very clearly given to understand that, that may be a step which will arise as and how the, this transaction or the discussion or the proposal on this transaction goes forward. So as of now, officially, there is nothing that we can really write about, but a very clear indication coming from government quarters that open offer by LIC may have to be on the cards. Now, having said that, the other aspects that also have been flagged off and they could be slightly critical, keeping the overall transaction in mind, we've been very clearly told that the IRD approval basically has come in for LIC to hold 51% in IDBI Bank. It's an acquisition. And, this will be done with full management control. This is what we have been clearly given to understand. The third aspect, and there have been various news reports on the same saying that, government has asked for a premium from LIC for this transaction. Well, at least our sources have very clearly indicated there is nothing in the offing on that front. In fact, according to, informed quarters, government does not see any monetary benefit or any gains out of this transaction personally, government as an entity. Apart from this, we are also given to understand that as of now, they are in favor of dilution of the equity, basically indicating probably that the money will go straight to IDBI Bank. Nothing will come to the government side, at least as of now. That's what we're given to understand. Probably this will be by issuance of fresh equity by IDBI Bank as and how that transaction, that proposal goes ahead. Why this kind of a strategy as of now? Because the view in government quarters is that, probably the current stock price of IDBI Bank does not reflect the inherent value. That's one. Second, later on down the line, the government will always have, a window to kind of disinvest its shares as the valuations go up. So an upside for the government, for LIC as well. This is how they're looking at things.
Okay, remember, the open offer trigger is 25%, and once the open offer trigger of 25% is crossed, you got to make an offer for another 26%. I mean, that's essentially what the rules say, and the price essentially is, the average of the last 26 weeks or last 2 weeks, whichever is higher. I mean, look at the stock price. It saw a small jump, but it's barely budged, and that is essentially a result of the damage that we've seen in the stock price. By the way, the minority in IDBI Bank is pretty small. I mean, if you exclude the government and LIC, it's just about 6-7% or so, if my memory serves me right. But Lata is also joining in. Sapna stays on. Lata, what's your take?
I came exactly to put that math. What are you doing in terms of an open offer? It is 8%. You are pretty close. 81% is held by the government. 10.82% is held by LIC. So together they hold 92%. You're doing an open offer for basically 8%. Now, the government's position that, they don't want to divest to LIC, slightly hollow, because then what will be LIC's issue? LIC will have to pay, even if you assume 50 rupees is, the last 6-month average or whatever, at a minimum 50 rupees, then it will be 250 crore out of 308 crore shares are held by the government. So that will be some 11,500 crore which LIC will have to pay to take the government stake in. And then they will have to capitalize the bank, which will be another 10,000 crore. I mean, this will be extremely laughable and, extremely red in the face for LIC as the keeper of people's, people's policy money. And therefore, it's not a very it's not a matter of charity or good governance that the government is not tendering in. They are giving it to LIC because they don't want to capitalize. They want LIC to capitalize. Otherwise, it's too big a hole for the government to keep on filling. So it's but natural that probably about another 200 crore shares will be issued, fresh shares. So the LIC stake goes from the current 30 crore, maybe not 100, 200, maybe 220 crore will have to be issued. Then they become 51%. In the process, they would have, if you take the last price, say 50 rupees or 47 rupees, then that will be about 12,000 crore that
Lata, I'm just saying it'll probably have to be more than that, because I was looking at the price movement over the last 6 months. And in March, the stock did peak at around 80 rupees. So that's obviously just that one peak. But the average of the last 6 months, if that's the way the formula is going to be interpreted, then I guess it'll be, somewhere around the 55 to maybe even, high 50s range, which means more of a cash outgo for an LIC.
See, there is no necessity for LIC to get 51%. But if in one shot it does, then okay, maybe it is 12 or 13,000 crore. But over and above that, an open offer, I doubt, it's not going to be a very expensive thing for LIC. But investors may still hold on, because after all now, LIC would have capitalized it to the extent of 11, 12,000 crores.
Now that this is happening, I mean, we like it or not. So the other way maybe to think about this is that the government is not creating special rules for itself. I mean, in a transaction, an open offer is required. They are actually going ahead and doing an open offer, because that was another thing.
This is a special rule. It's got the biggest life insurer of the country to buy out the bank.
I would think the biggest bending of the back is being done by LIC. Yeah. Policyholders' money put on the line. Yeah. On a bank
I began by saying, now that this is happening and they're bending those rules, maybe one rule not bent.
I guess one IRDA member has spoken to Yash and has said that, the spirit of the takeover has not been understood. I really want to know whether IRDA would have been so cool with the permission if ICICI had taken over a bank that is as in the situation that IDBI now is, or if HDFC. I mean, they would have still said, oh God, this, oh God, this is, policyholders' money. Are you sure you can turn it around? They would have asked some tough questions. In this case, obviously, because it's the sovereign and because LIC is stepping in to help the sovereign, I guess IRDA does not have a worry, because LIC is backed by the sovereign. The policyholders' money to that extent is safe, and therefore they are taking the call that they are taking. My sense is it was always that government will not participate. It was always that, whether SEBI extends the open offer forbearance or not is such an academic question. How many shareholders, minority shareholders, are anyway at stake? 8%. I mean, it's not a great deal. Most of that is mutual funds. I think the real retail minority is 2 or 3%. There are other insurance companies, mutual funds, foreign portfolio investors who hold the other 4 or 5%. So it's not a big generosity of spirit or sticking to principles against great odds when the SEBI forces an open offer. That's par for the course.
So this is a really interesting conversation.